Why is that?
Which is exceptions. Dictatorship is dictatorship. Possibly
No, the way they end up as individuals.
Yeah, possibly you could talk about Bros Tito.
No, but Idi Amin lived to a ripe old age and died
that's
quietly, and
politically ended up disastrous.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So we need to define the disaster.
We
need to define it because
go to Venezuela.
Absolutely.
Can I add something from Nwabi Nejese, who says it's incredible that most African leaders start up as heroes but end up being buried while standing. Gaddafi is now an asylum seeker in Algeria. Nwabi Nejese is saying.
Mobutu was buried standing in Morocco.
He's still standing, isn't he?
Yeah,
he hasn't been reburied.
No,
he's still standing there. Someone says now that Gaddafi is gone, says who will be the next on the list? Can we afford that speculation?
No.
Let us
not speculate.
Is anybody's guess?
Let us not speculate.
But do you have some more messages there?
Baruch in Lugazi says Gaddafi's imminent exit is making my night because he had become a symbol of dictatorship. Thanks to the Libyan people. Patrick Aboyo says he once said, he meaning Gaddafi, that revolutionaries don't hand over power, which he should leave to face. Let me hope that perennial African leaders have learned their lessons. Jose in Wandegea says Gaddafi's team managed to build Libya without foreign aid, but NATO wasted almost everything. However, I guess Cameroon has learned a lesson from the riots in London.
What's not
true is that he built Libya without foreign aid?
That's not correct.
What is correct?
Built what? What did he build?
Highways and
highways and cities
and schools and
development. But fundamentally is human development.
But David was talking about there's no university in Africa which is renowned.
But is that the only measure? But you guys have a bias because you are both academics.
No. It's an indication of human development.
But Bernard, we haven't seen people being flown to Libya for treatment.
Absolutely.
In a top hospital, like they're going to South Africa.
Or they go to India.
Or they go to India. They are always going to India. We haven't seen people coming out, the oil experts, coming down south to help these other countries from Libya. Let me take some more feedback from our listeners. Ntale Patrick says, that is a good lesson for all presidents who are dictators. Let them borrow a leaf. Bob Gakire says, isn't this a big lesson for leaders who take things for granted and ignore cries of a common man? I think Westerners, developed countries, won't invade any country when you have full and real support of your citizens. That's why even some countries like Ethiopia weren't colonized. I wish African leaders like Museveni and PK, for Paul Kagame, I believe, pick lessons from this end of an era. Gakire is in Kigali. Another listener, Zakare Kadu, says, my question, when the uprising had just started, political commentators all over the earth, all over the world were asking, if Gaddafi goes, what next? Dr. Philip and Professor Ndebesa, what is your take on this? Do you think the above allegations are likely to be witnessed in the next few days after Gaddafi is finally defeated? Do you think the NTC has the capacity and popularity to be trusted with the transition period? That's a question to you guys.
No, if I may say that, as we said, in the short run, things might be difficult. Legitimacy, any other person other than Gaddafi, and I think the TNC has demonstrated, at least for the few months that it's been in charge in the eastern
Benghazi area,
in Benghazi, and then of course basically the greater eastern Libya, that it has the goodwill of the international community, and you have seen how they have unfrozen all these practically most of the assets from which.
But Philip, the international community has interest. They are looking at oil and gas. I mean,
well, definitely.
I think
I agree.
Do you think? Just a question to you and the rest. Do you think that Gaddafi maybe miscalculated? He thought the West will look the other way because, after all, he owned up to the Panam crimes and paid compensation. Yeah. He has visited Rome. He went to the UN after a long time. He thought maybe he's back in the fold, as it were, in the international community, but.
Not necessarily. These
turned against him.
These
so
people
what happened there?
These people had always wanted an excuse to get rid of him. And if you look at the record, and what we really need to look at is the record when the verbatim record when Resolution 1973 was being debated. What people said, what the representatives who sit in the Soviet Council, what they said, and that will give you an indication of what they had in mind when they intervened in the first instance. Because ultimately, there is this thing now which we call R2P. The responsibility to protect. The responsibility to protect is a Western liberal notion that if you have certain things happening somewhere, then these people have it's incumbent on them to intervene.
If I can come in
Yeah,
here,
Prof.
I think among other things, we may have to give credit to Barack Obama. Barack Obama's foreign policy, you see, he may not want to look aggressively as if he's against these dictators, but he can also turn a blind eye when the citizens have come up, rather than him going there directly to support the
He's
dictators.
being more diplomatic.
Yeah, but
So he
in
has
his
been
approach.
diplomatic, but in his diplomacy, he has let the dictators fall
He learned
without
from Iraq
him
and
coming
Afghanistan.
in, because he has got problems back
Iraq
home.
and Afghanistan.
They will interfere with him. But back to the question of somebody about what may happen to Libya.
Yes.
Many things could happen. They could have some anarchy, but the point is that the lead has been opened. There is freedom space now. And let these people talk about freedom. And once you remove the lead and you create a freedom space, then the future is brighter in there. In the short run, you could have some problems. When there was a French Revolution, there was anarchy, followed by Napoleon dictatorship.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, within a space of about 30 years, France had embraced liberal democracy.
Precisely.
So I think Libya, or actually the Arab world, is now going to embrace
True democracy after some time.
democracy.
But
after some time.
must all societies embrace liberal
I
democracy?
didn't say liberal, I said democracy.
You said
Hold it, gentlemen. Hold it, gentlemen. Hold it, gentlemen.
Find
Ida.
democracy in this
That was
context.
That was for
Hold it, gentlemen.
I
There.
didn't say Middle East.
Dennis Bond wants to know the end of Kano
Equality,
Gaddafi.
fraternity, and then something else.
Dr. Kashaija, Dennis Bond says the end of Kano Gaddafi's era is going to cost the rest of Africa. For instance, Uganda a lot.
Negatively.
It's an end to the long era of a true friend to Uganda, which means a quick decline in business.
That's
Do you
rubbish.
think we are possibly suffering from the absence of Gaddafi
No,
dollars?
no,
Which
no, no,
business?
no.
Which
Which
business is
business?
there
No one is going to
between,
miss him.
I mean, he was running a string of businesses here
Oh, come
that I've been
on.
living on.
The state of Libya, not him.
The state of Libya,
Yes.
but many of the
You mean the state
businesses
was him?
of the state of Libya
You
have
mean the
been
state was him?
struggling.
The state was him.
I thought that's how he's
But
structured.
you can still go to business with the new group.
Ronald Semanda says, we have made our land a battlefield, a land where weapons are tested. The people of Libya will bear witness. Is that correct?
What?
Keeping Africa as a battlefield where you test new weapons and old weapons.
But what do you
If we
expect?
allow it,
Yeah, if we allow it.
Okay.
What do
we
you
shouldn't
expect?
allow that situation
Govern
to happen.
effectively and competently so that you do not create
don't
excuses
create
for
excuses
foreigners
for
to
these
jump
Foreigners
in.
to come in.
But Charles, just a quick one. Kasaija, you've been at the AU summits. Do
Yes.
you think the Musevenis of this world, the Mbekis and these other African presidents will breathe easier without Gaddafi bullying everybody
I
around
think they're
in the
going to
room?
breathe easy.
Well, how would that be? I
In
mean,
fact,
the atmosphere, the first AU summit. What will it
privately
be like
some of them
without
must be
Gaddafi?
saying, "Yeah, yes, this is really what we
Who
what
is going to step into that vacuum
shoes.
that
Where
Gaddafi leaves?
Someone will
Act
emerge.
strangely, but
Someone
pour
will
money
emerge.
around.
So there are many eccentric ones. I can tell you, there are very many eccentric ones.
Like,
Very, very.
you know,
Like who?
maybe in the best I want to name them. Who
You know,
might be the
names are
new
names.
Gaddafi?
They are,
Now
they are,
that the
they
real
are
one is-
eccentric ones. They are quite
Yeah, I
eccentric
can
ones.
only conclude by saying that social accountability that we have seen in North Africa is going to flow southwards, and it's a matter of time. We shall also breeze
So some people are not.
some space.
Is
of
the
freedom.
idea, the last question to Dr. Kashaija, is the idea of an African Union government over and dead now with Gaddafi?
You could say yes, but it's been on the agenda for the AU for quite a while, and Uganda was the chairperson of the Committee of 10, which has been looking at the possibility of establishing this or transforming the commission.
And yet
into an
Museveni has
authority.
been seriously opposed to it?
Precisely, and this is a contradiction.
So how did Uganda
This is-
get onto the
I mean, this is a
committee?
contradiction. It's a contradiction. But clearly, I know for a fact that Uganda has been the chairperson of the 10 of the Committee of 10.
Did they
So-
draft a government structure something?
The structure initially, where they proposed three ministries: Minister of Defense, the Minister, I think, of
But the
Communication.
nature of the union we
No,
want
no,
is to be
could
democratic.
you get the ministers? The ministers
No,
for this
I want
African government.
No, Uganda was taking one of the ministries.
Which
Uganda
minister?
was supposed to be one of the ministers of Africa,
Some kitchen
And
ministry.
Kenya?
and Kenya was supposed to be in charge of
Who would
retirement.
have taken the Let's take the Thank you very much, Dr. Kashaija. Thank you very much, Mr. Neves, for the show. Minister for Tourism, Minister for Retirement, Defense
Home
Minister
affairs.
of
For
the African
kitchen
Union
affairs.
government. Gone. Thank you very much to all our listeners for joining us tonight, and always, and especially those who gave us feedback and each one who listened in. Thank you very much. to Ban Cafe for the coffee that we have, and especially to
Some of
Nile
those
Gold for
ministers were very
sponsoring
appropriate.
this show. Good evening.
The people take over the portfolio are very
The
appropriate.
hottest debate on all relevant topics live
Every evening, 7 to 8 p.m.
KFM Hot Seat in association with
Nile Gold, a crystal malt lager beyond an ordinary malt.
The art of crafting a jewel, as told by the brewmaster.
Under the exacting international standards at Nile Breweries, he uses only the finest, most carefully selected grains of roasted crystal malt and sets in motion the delicate process of releasing their full roast. The result is a world-class beer with a fresher aroma, a richer golden color, and a maltier taste. It isn't every day that you find yourself with a precious jewel in your hand and the distinction of having produced it as well.
Nile Gold Crystal Malt Lager, beyond an ordinary malt.
Not for sale to persons under 18.
90 million cash ziri mugabo emotoka 12 brand new cars pass me my phone lelo tino kuwangula kino sekirabanga